Hi everyone. The slappity thighs Tano here. The internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new BabyTron record, Bin Reaper 3. Old Testament. This is a brand new LP from Michigan rapper BabyTron, who's been building up a very strong and passionate cult following for several years now. The results, a recent XXL freshman class placement, and having become one of the most talked about rappers of this current generation. And it's easy to see why, given his unique style. His nearly deadpan delivery with which he rattles off this endless stream of bars, like a machine shooting off rapid-fire references, double entendres, and ridiculous one-liners, which cover an array of bases but usually come back to some key themes like scamming, crime, also, reference to a relative of his that he lovingly refers to as Unky. So in a lot of ways, what BabyTron lacks in energy on his tracks, he makes up for in content. And on top of that, he seems to surprisingly be able to rap over nearly anything. He even tries his hand at a drill beat on this project, and it manages to be one of the better cuts here. Though the kind of grooves BabyTron made his name on comes straight out of the sweet and jittery rhythms of 80s freestyle music, which isn't exactly the most likely genre of music to rap over these days, but somehow it works for him. Though it does seem like more recently BabyTron's been doing what he can to spit over a wider variety of instrumentals. Either way, with a project from him, the beat choices are going to be unique, and sometimes confusing because the sample material on some of these tracks, he's just saying fuck it in terms of clearing this, and he's just spitting over it. One thing about BabyTron, though, as distinct as his sound and style are, he hasn't always proven to be the most versatile rapper out there, and that's made some of his records so far sound a little one-dimensional. Though his first Bin Reaper project from 2019 is so raw and hilarious, it's hard not to be head over heels for it, at least a little bit. But now in 2022, we have progressed all the way to Bin Reaper 3, which I think has a great balance with a tight run of tracks that span 40 minutes, a decent amount of variety happening on the production side, some good choruses being thrown into these tracks here and there as well, as opposed to the uninterrupted lyrical Uzi spray we typically hear on Tron's tracks, be that on MySpace or One Side of Things, or the closing cut 365-day grind. A self-portrait of sorts of BabyTron's tireless work ethic, which I can't really deny given his prolific output. The chill keys and relaxed trap beat on this track make the perfect soundtrack for BabyTron's effortlessly smooth flows. We get a lot of personal background on this cut, as well as on the opener too, which gives a really sharp lyrical rundown of a lot of the major key career points that has brought BabyTron to this point. Like, if you've been kind of out of the know, this track will, in fact, catch you up. Though I don't think his somewhat low energy performance and the atmospheric kind of washed out instrumental he's riding on is necessarily the best reflection of him playing to his strengths. Still, I can't deny how good the lyrical focus on this track is, as well as on the song AIRTRON, which has this speedy run of NBA references from start to finish, a lot of which are pretty funny, very clever. This song also doubles as one of many spots on this record where the production really shines too. There are these killer vocal harmony samples throughout the track that really kind of make it. The driving b-boy rhythm in the background, straight out of the 80s, is quite good too. Then there's the song Wake the Fuck Up, which features a prominent sample of the chorus vocal from Somebody's Watching Me by Rockwell, which arrives just in time for spooky season. The track goes hard, though I do wish some of the lyrics were maybe a bit creepier to kind of work in the theme of the sample. Still, though, the track Silly Me, which I also love, has a pretty clever and interesting chop of the chorus from Woo, there it is, but over a much chiller instrumental. The vibe is entirely changed with the context it's placed in. Top 2 Not 2 is kind of impressive in terms of what it's attempting on the production side, with these multiple breakneck beat switches across the track, some of which are kind of interesting, but as an overall experience, I think it just kind of makes the song feel really disjointed and choppy. I think the various changes across the track, Rage Quit, for example, are a lot smoother, a lot more sensible, and of course, because it's BabyTron, there are lyrical highlights on the record that are ridiculous and funny, like on the song Awful Lotta Yeah, which again is one of many tracks here where Tron's delivery is very blunt, very straightforward, very clear cut. It's really what he's saying that kind of makes it funny. On stage, I refuse to let you Chris Rock me, all these damn cuss words, they can't kids bop me, which again, there are many parts of this record that are equally as funny. It's just kind of a matter of like just staying there, being focused on all of it, and picking up every reference and every little funny mention of whatever as it's happening in real time. However, there are a few somewhat low points on the record that I was not super crazy about that I'd like to mention. There's 1516 Curry, where I think Tron's delivery is just a little underwhelming, and as a result of that, I think many of the bars tend to bleed together, especially with that kind of punched-in vocal recording style he tends to approach a lot of his tracks with now. Plus, there is that one line where he talks about being blown like an accordion, which, given his sense of humor, I would hope that's a self-aware bar. However, my least favorite moment on the record doesn't really come down to BabyTron as much as it does his cohort that he has on the DSM Cypher 2, which is the longest song on this project by a mile, and it feels like it with all of the kind of short verses packed in like sardines into this one beat, many of which are not super great and kind of pale in comparison to many of the bars BabyTron brings to the table, not to mention the fact that a lot of the guests are kind of approaching the song with pretty much the exact same flow, a lot of those same punched-in bars, some of which, even with them being edited and placed, feel kind of messy. So yeah, this one sadly is far from the best track on this record. But still, with that being said, I enjoyed Bin Reaper 3 quite a bit. While it may not be BabyTron's most raw and thrilling and exciting project from front to back, it is his most, I think, intentional, his most methodically put together and planned out. You hear him effectively growing into his continued style on this record, as well as trying his hand at some new vibes, some new flows, some new beats, some new approaches, and those, for the most part, work out well. With this project, I think we get a nice picture of an artist who knows exactly who he is at this point, enough to also experiment a little bit and try something new. And yeah, I think that's kind of what makes Bin Reaper 3 a great project from BabyTron, even if there are at least a handful of songs on this thing that I wasn't super crazy about. Feeling a strong 7 to a light 8 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, music, BabyTron, forever.